To ask the Scottish Government what its response is to the reported concerns and frustration of the Educational Institute of Scotland about its 4-day working week proposal for teachers.
Cabinet Secretary Jenny Gilruth.
Presiding Officer, last week the Scottish Government published proposals to deliver on reducing teachers' class contact, including a 4-day teaching week, improved maternity pay arrangements and an agreed national minimum learning hour standard for all schools across the country. This will form part of a new national deal for teachers, which is our opportunity to reaffirm the value we place on teaching and to build a system that truly supports the profession. These proposals will be consulted on via the SNCT, and a paper has been shared to that end. I was pleased to meet with the EIS last week in Parliament to discuss them in more detail, and it is imperative that the views of parents and young people are listened to through consultation. I was also very pleased the Government was recently able to settle the teacher pay dispute, meaning that Scotland's teachers remain the best paid on these islands. Scotland's teaching profession will now expect the Government to move forward at pace on delivering a reduction in class contact time. That is what these proposals seek to deliver: improved working conditions for our educators to unlock better outcomes for our pupils.
Willie Rennie.
The Cabinet Secretary said she was very pleased a number of different times, but the teaching unions have reacted with utter fury. They say it's deeply disappointing. They've accused the Government of diktat. The SNCT, which she referred to, have expressed dismay, and the unions are still threatening strike by the end of January. Why does the Cabinet Secretary think her positive announcement has gone down like a cup of cold sick?
Cabinet Secretary.
I don't necessarily think the language that Mr Rennie used there was appropriate, but I did meet with the EIS in Parliament last Thursday, the day I announced the proposals. I listened to the concerns that he's outlined today. I'll not repeat the language he has used, and I will tell you exactly what I told them. That I share teaching unions' frustration that the reduction in teacher class contact time is moving too slowly, that discussions to date have focused too much on the technocratic barriers to delivering the change we all want to see, and too little on what our vision should be for the teaching profession. So our detailed proposals were sent to the EIS and the other teaching unions on Thursday afternoon. I have not heard commentary on the proposals themselves, and I have heard mixed responses from some of the other professional associations who, I note, welcomed them.
Willie Rennie.
My language is nothing compared with what teachers have told me about the reaction to her proposals. Now, I got an answer to a parliamentary question from the Cabinet Secretary, and it says this: I am pleased that earlier this year, the SNCC subgroup on reducing teacher contact time agreed with the Scottish Government proposal to develop a work plan, to develop a route map towards reducing teacher contact time at pace. Isn't it the truth? There is nothing 5 years on that is at pace with this Government, and they are moving towards the next election, having failed to deliver this important policy and this promise for teachers.
Cabinet Secretary.
Thank Mr Rennie for his question. I don't recognise what he's just iterated today. I do think it's important that we reflect on the progress that's been made in the past year. I also observe, of course, that the teaching unions in Scotland take a position to negotiate separately on pay and conditions. And, of course, that is entirely a matter in their gift. But it is important we move forward with the improvements to reducing teacher class contact time that we need to deliver on. That's what's going to make a difference at the chalk face. I didn't hear Mr Rennie, unfortunately, comment, for example, on the differences in maternity pay that Scotland's predominantly female teaching population experience at the current time. Teachers in Scotland get 13 weeks full pay, local governments better than teachers, NHS staff get better maternity pay than teachers, civil servants get better maternity pay than teachers. I thought Mr Rennie would have been welcoming that for his constituents.